"You're not important enough," they said. "You flip burgers. You don't run empires." That was the moment everything changed. I was standing in my own kitchen, in my own damn house, hearing those words come out of my wife's mouth while she laughed with her friends on speakerphone, like I wasn't even there. Her voice was dripping with mockery, twisted with pride as she told them she had canceled our dinner plans because he'd probably just take me to some greasy diner anyway. It was my birthday. I had reserved a rooftop table. Spent 3 weeks planning. Took time off work. Even bought her that gold bracelet she'd been eyeing, the one she said reminded her of something a real man would give. And all of that, for this? She was in the living room with her legs curled up on the couch, scrolling through Instagram, sipping her wine like she'd already forgotten I existed. Her friends laughed through the speaker, those high-pitched, fake giggles that stab you in the chest when you know they're aimed at you. Madison, my wife of 5 years. The woman I met when she couldn't afford rent, couldn't afford lunch. I remember her sitting across from me in that crumbling booth at the diner, dipping fries into milkshake, saying, "I don't need a man to save me." I didn't try to save her. I just stayed, worked double shifts, paid for her dental school, covered her loans. And the second she got that fancy job at Parkview Medical, the second she tasted a whiff of money and respect, it was like I had expired. She stopped coming home on time, started wearing makeup to the grocery store, took calls in the bathroom with the door locked. And I cooked, I cleaned, I tried not to notice. But that birthday? That was the bullet to the heart. The final one. So I smiled. I walked out of the kitchen and grabbed my car keys. She didn't even ask where I was going. Didn't blink. Didn't pause. Just poured another glass and kept laughing. That night, the sky turned red. Literally. Cameras flashed. Sirens wailed. People screamed. And my family, my quiet, working-class family, stood at the edge of the scene with their hands over their mouths as the blue and red lights danced across their eyes. I saw my mother's trembling hand press against her chest. My brother dropped the birthday cake in the parking lot. My little sister whispered, "He really did it." You're probably wondering what it was. Let's just say, when a man has nothing left to lose, when his pride is chewed up, when the woman he gave everything to laughs at him in front of the world, he stops caring about consequences. No, I didn't kill anyone, but I did press play on a plan that had been in motion for weeks. And the detonator? That came wrapped in a red velvet ribbon, sitting quietly in a box Madison would open in front of everyone the very next day. Because I wasn't going to raise my voice. I wasn't going to beg. I was going to let her bury herself. With evidence. With exposure. With the mask ripped off in front of the exact people whose opinion she worshipped. She thought I was weak. That I'd take the hit and stay silent. That I'd flip her damn burgers and smile through it all. What she didn't know was that empires fall harder when they're built on lies. And hers was about to collapse. The box I left on the console table was small, elegant, Tiffany blue, with a white satin bow. Madison loved packaging. She once told me presentation was everything. That's why I chose that box. I knew she wouldn't be able to resist opening it. And I knew exactly when she'd do it, during brunch with her friends the next morning, the same ones who called me a joke behind my back and a placeholder husband to her face. But let's rewind a little. The day after she humiliated me on my birthday, she had brunch plans with her little clique at some overpriced cafe where they serve avocado toast for $20 and call it a lifestyle. I followed her there. Not to make a scene. No, I'd done enough reacting. I was there to watch. She wore a skin-tight white dress I'd never seen before, something that clung like a second skin. The kind of dress women wear when they want to be noticed. She always used to dress modestly, especially around me. But lately, it was like every outfit was designed to remind me I didn't matter anymore. She walked into the cafe like she owned the street. Hair blown out. Sunglasses oversized. Phone in hand. Not a glance back. I waited in my car across the street. Through the window, I could see her giggling before she even sat down. There they were, Jessica, Tiffany, Claire, all sipping mimosas, all rolling their eyes in that synchronized, surgically perfected way. Madison pulled out the box. For a second, I saw her eyebrows lift. Curiosity. I bet she thought it was some groveling gift, something sentimental. She untied the bow. She opened the lid. I watched her smile freeze mid-laugh. Inside wasn't jewelry. It was a flash drive. One word written on the inside of the lid. Play. She didn't. Not yet. She looked around, confused. Whispered something to Jessica. Then stuffed it back in her purse and forced a laugh, like she hadn't just been touched by ice. Later that night, she confronted me. if you can call what she did confronting. It was more like a declaration of war. You think you're clever? She spat, storming into the house after slamming her car door hard enough to shake the windows. Trying to make me look like some kind of villain? You're pathetic, Ben. This is why you'll always be small. Small. She said it like it was filth in her mouth. I stood by the window, arms crossed, just watching her pace. You should be grateful I stayed as long as I did, she hissed. Do you know how many offers I get? Real men. Men with ambition. With vision. I didn't say a word. Just waited. Then came the fatal slip. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm tired of pretending. I've moved on. That's when it clicked. She didn't just disrespect me. She didn't just insult me. She replaced me. So I asked, calmly, is it your boss? She froze. Her mouth opened. Closed. Then opened again. Don't you dare bring Liam into this. He's a professional. And there it was. The name. The guilt. The half-truth that exposed the whole thing. Liam. Her boss. The same guy she accidentally mentioned one night in her sleep. The same guy who texted her at midnight with work updates. The same guy whose cologne I smelled on her blazer last week. I laughed. I couldn't help it. You cheated on me with Liam? The guy who wears a scarf indoors. She exploded. You think you're so above it all, don't you? Just because you caught on a little late doesn't make you a hero, Ben. You were never enough for me. Never. That was the last sentence she'd say in this house. Because right then, I opened the drawer and handed her a folder, one I'd been compiling for weeks. Photos. Messages. GPS logs. Receipts. Screen recordings. The flash drive wasn't just a scare tactic, it was a trailer. The full movie? That folder. You should open that, I said. It's got a feature-length performance of you, playing the role of loyal wife, while climbing the corporate ladder on your back. She slapped me, then stormed upstairs. And I finally breathed. She didn't come downstairs that night. I heard drawers slam, zippers yank, heels clicking against the hardwood as she stomped back and forth, probably packing in a panic. But I didn't go up. I stayed on the couch with a glass of scotch in my hand and the folder still sitting on the coffee table, untouched, but glowing like it was radioactive. Around midnight, I heard the front door creak open. I didn't turn my head. I just said, loud enough for her to hear, "Tell Liam I hope he's worth what you're losing." She paused. I could feel her standing there, stuck between rage and regret. And then she laughed. Not a chuckle. Not even a sarcastic smirk. A cold, guttural, villain-in-a-movie kind of laugh. You think I'm losing? She snapped. Ben, I've been bored for 2 years. You were a phase. A filler. A warm body to hold my bags while I build a life I actually wanted. She shut the door without another word. No, goodbye. No, sorry. Just the sound of her wheels peeling off like she couldn't wait to erase my existence. The silence that followed was deafening. It's funny, when you expect heartbreak to hit like a hammer, but it doesn't. Instead, it slithers in slowly, like a gas leak. You don't even realize it's poisoning you until you're lightheaded with confusion and bitterness. I wasn't sad. Not yet. I was numb. I sat there until the sun rose. Then I got to work. By noon, I'd copied the contents of the folder onto 5 flash drives. One for her parents. One for HR at Parkview Medical. One for my lawyer. One for my brother. He was a tech guy, and I had a hunch he could make it all louder. And the last one? That stayed with me. For leverage. I didn't want revenge. Not in the traditional sense. I didn't want to scream at her in a parking lot or flatten her tires or throw her stuff out the window like some viral breakup video. No, I wanted justice. I wanted balance. And most of all, I wanted to take back what she stole, my dignity. 2 days later, the fallout began. First came the email from Parkview Medical. We are launching an internal ethics investigation regarding inappropriate workplace conduct. Then came the furious call from her mother. You exaggerated, didn't you? Madison would never do this. Would she? I didn't even answer. Just send her the link. Raw footage. Her daughter in a hotel room with a man twice her age, bragging about how she had been eating out of her hand. Next was the bank. Turns out Madison had taken out a personal line of credit in my name to fund her little luxury side life, bags, spa treatments, even a trip to the Caymans labeled as a conference. My lawyer was already drafting charges. But the twist? Liam. He ghosted her. The moment the HR email hit his inbox, he cut ties. Deleted her from LinkedIn. Had his assistant field her calls. She'd thought she was trading down for up, But she didn't realize that men like Liam don't risk their empires for the women they used to build them. 3 days after she left, Madison showed up again. I was in the garage, sorting through some of her leftover boxes when I heard her car door slam. "Ben," she called out, her voice strained, rehearsed. "We need to talk." I didn't even look at her. "Ben, please." Things got out of hand. I turned. She looked tired. The glamour was gone. No makeup. Eyes puffy. Hair tied back in a crooked ponytail. She looked like a woman who just realized she bet everything on the wrong horse. "You made your choice," I said, "and now you get to live with it." She stepped forward. I was confused. "Okay?" I felt suffocated. "You were just so content with your little life. I needed more." "You mean more attention? More drama? More of Liam's cheap cologne?" She didn't deny it. Instead, she reached into her bag and pulled out the Tiffany box. The same one I'd given her. She held it like it was a peace offering. "I haven't opened it," she whispered. I was scared to. I stared at her. Then I said, "Good. Because what's inside will make you wish you never laughed on my birthday." She flinched. Madison had never been afraid of me. Not once. She was the type to push buttons, press gas on a fire just to watch the explosion. But now her eyes trembled like a dog hearing thunder. And I'd be lying if I said I didn't feel some grim satisfaction in that. She clutched the box tighter. "Ben, I know I messed up. But you have to admit, you've never been ambitious. You've been comfortable. Safe. I built a life for us," I said. "Not for me. For us. You wanted safety. Stability. You said you were tired of chaos." "Yeah, well," she muttered. "Maybe I lied." There it was. The honesty I waited years for. Slapped into the air like it meant nothing. She sat on one of the paint-stained stools in the garage and looked around like she'd stepped into a foreign country. "Why are you doing this?" she asked. "Why not just let me go and move on?" I walked over to the workbench, opened the drawer, and pulled out a manila envelope. Her name was written in red across the top, Madison Lee Carter. Inside were bank records, photos, emails, all time-stamped and neatly arranged. My lawyer said it was overkill. I said it was closure. I placed it gently on the table between us. "This is why." She stared at it like it was a bomb. "You think I care about Liam?" I said. "He's nothing. A spoiled executive who saw a bored housewife and decided to play games. But what you did, that was more than betrayal, Madison. It was surgical. It was calculated. You used me as a springboard, and the second you landed, you cut the ropes." "I didn't plan it like that," she whispered. "Yes, you did," I shot back. "Don't lie now." "Not here." She was silent. The only sound was the faint whir of the garage fan and the pounding in my own ears. "I gave you everything," I said, "and you mocked me for it." She looked up. Her mascara was smudged. Her voice cracked. "I didn't think you'd ever fight back. You always let things go." I smiled. "That's your problem, Madison. You mistook kindness for weakness." She reached for the envelope, slowly, like it might bite. I stepped forward. "Go ahead. Open it. You'll find the paperwork for the divorce, the cease and desist letter for using my name in any financial accounts, and the formal statement being sent to Parkview's board." Her hands shook. "You're really doing this?" I nodded. "You divorced me the day you chose to be someone else behind my back. This is just the paperwork catching up." She looked me in the eye, and I saw something I hadn't seen in years: respect. The real kind. The kind you can't fake with flattery or gifts. And that's when it hit her. I wasn't the man she thought I was. I wasn't the pushover. I wasn't the shadow behind her spotlight. I was the man holding the truth. And she was finally in its path. Madison stood up, envelope in hand, her voice hollow. "You'll regret this one day." "No," I said. "You will." She left without slamming the door. This time, she didn't look back. I stood there for a long time, staring at the empty spot she'd just been in. I felt a weight leave my chest, not because she was gone, but because I was done carrying her version of me. The one who was safe, small, and easy to ignore. And I knew, deep down, that I had just flipped the story. This wasn't a tragedy anymore. It was the beginning of my empire. The house felt different after she left. Quieter, obviously, but not the peaceful kind of quiet. The kind that buzzes in your ears. Like when you walk into a room that's just been vacated after a screaming match. Her scent still lingered in the hallway. Her perfume had soaked into the cushions. There were bobby pins on the bathroom sink. But she was gone, and I didn't miss her. What I missed, what cut deep, was the illusion. The one I built so carefully. The one I fought for. I thought I'd married someone real. I thought love was enough. That if you supported someone through their worst, They'd never leave once they reached their best. But people like Madison don't believe in loyalty. They believe in leverage. And now she had none. I spent the next week cleaning house, not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, financially. I scrubbed her name off joint accounts, changed the locks, canceled her phone line on my plan. My brother came over and helped me wipe her access from every shared device. She really thought she could walk all over you, he muttered, watching files delete from her old laptop. She did, I said, until she walked off a cliff. We both laughed. It felt good. But the real satisfaction came 2 days later when I got a call from Parkview Medical. Mr. Carter, this is to inform you that Madison Lee Carter has been placed on administrative leave pending an internal investigation. Would you be available to confirm the timeline of events and provide digital documentation for the board? I smiled so hard my jaw ached. Absolutely. Happy to help. That night, I poured myself another glass of scotch, walked out onto the porch, and let the breeze hit my face. For the first time in years, I didn't feel like a man waiting for the next betrayal. I felt grounded, in control, but peace didn't last long. Around midnight, headlights swept across my driveway. I thought it was a neighbor at first. Then I heard the rapid knock on my front door. I opened it, and there she was. Not Madison. Claire. One of Madison's brunch friends. Tight jeans, tank top, red lipstick, and tears. Ben, hey, I know this is weird, but can I come in? I blinked. It's past midnight. She nodded. I know. I didn't know who else to talk to. Madison told me everything. I let her in, not because I trusted her, but because I wanted to hear what kind of circus my ex-wife was running now. Claire sat on the edge of the couch, legs crossed, fiddling with her bracelet. She said you ruined her life, that you exposed her, that you planned all of this. I said nothing. Is it true? I shrugged. I didn't ruin her life. I just stopped protecting her from the truth. Claire stared at me. She's spiraling, Ben. You don't know how bad it's gotten. I raised an eyebrow. Why are you here, Claire? She bit her lip. Because I never liked how she treated you. None of us did. And now that it's all out, her voice cracked. I needed to say I'm sorry. For laughing with her. For going along with it. It was genuine. Or maybe it wasn't. I didn't care. I poured her a drink and sat down opposite her. She looked at me differently than Madison ever had, like she saw me. I don't know what Madison thought she was doing, Claire whispered. But she underestimated you. I know, I said. There was a pause. Then she said something that made my blood freeze and boil all at once. She used to say you were harmless. That's why she didn't bother hiding things. Harmless. That word. I stood up. You should go, Claire. She blinked, stunned. Wait, I didn't mean it. I know what you meant. And thank you for the apology. But I'm not interested in reliving Madison's circus through her friends. She nodded slowly. Fair enough. As she walked out, I locked the door behind her. That word echoed in my skull. Harmless. I wasn't harmless. I was patient. And Madison had confused the two. The next morning, I found an envelope on my doorstep. No address. No stamp. Just my name, written in that familiar looping script, hers. I didn't open it right away. I sat with it in my hand, watching the coffee brew, trying to figure out if it was bait or apology. With Madison, it could have been either. Or both. Eventually, I ripped it open. Inside were 2 pages. Handwritten. And a photograph. The letter started like a confession. No, dear Ben, no pleasantries. Just a straight dive into her twisted logic. You were always good to me, and that made me resent you. I know how messed up that sounds, but it's the truth. I wanted to be challenged. I wanted to feel like I was chasing something bigger than comfort. You didn't challenge me. You accepted me. You made life too easy. I clenched my jaw. She didn't see kindness. She saw weakness. She didn't see stability. She saw boredom. The rest of the letter spiraled into self-pity. She blamed her affair on emotional suffocation, said Liam was an escape from feeling invisible, and that she never meant to hurt me. The usual drivel. But it was the photograph that really pushed me over the edge. It was taken months ago. Madison sitting on Liam's lap at a rooftop bar, wearing the dress I bought her for our anniversary. Her mouth next to his ear, his hand on her thigh. Someone must have taken it from across the street. Maybe a paparazzi. Maybe a friend. Maybe Madison herself. She always had a thing for documenting moments. She wrote one last line beneath the photo. You were never supposed to see this. Too late. I tossed the envelope in the fireplace. That afternoon, I met with my lawyer again. I want everything airtight, I told him. No loopholes. No room for her to twist the narrative. He nodded. She signed the temporary separation agreement. You're in a strong position. What about the fraud charges? We've already submitted the bank records. If the DA pursues it, she's looking at serious penalties. Good. I didn't want her jailed, but I did want her legacy tarnished, just like she tried to tarnish mine. I went home, grabbed a box, and started collecting the last of her things. Her old nursing books, some jewelry, the leftover clothes she hadn't packed in her angry exit. I was about to tape the box shut when I saw the Polaroid. It was us, taken on our honeymoon in Maui. I had a goofy grin. She was laughing into my shoulder, sunburned and happy. I stared at it for a long time. Then I burned it too. Later that evening, my brother texted. You seeing this? He sent a screenshot from Facebook. Madison's profile photo had changed. No more professional headshot. No more power dress on the balcony aesthetic. Now it was a selfie in a hoodie. No makeup. Caption. Sometimes starting over means letting go of who you used to be. The comments were a mix of sympathy and confusion. She's spiraling, my brother wrote. Maybe. But I didn't care. Not anymore. Let her spiral. Let her rebrand. Let her pretend she was the victim of a loveless marriage. People like her always needed a new narrative when the truth stopped working. I went for a drive that night. No destination. Just open road, windows down, music loud. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't driving to prove anything. I wasn't escaping. I wasn't chasing. I was reclaiming. I pulled over at a cliffside overlook I hadn't visited in years. Sat on the hood of my car and stared at the stars. Somewhere out there, she was probably refreshing her notifications, waiting to see if people still cared. And me? I was finally free of caring at all. 3 weeks passed. No calls. No texts. No unexpected knocks on the door. It was almost eerie how quiet life became after chaos dies down. But silence, real silence, has a way of showing you what peace actually sounds like. Then came the voicemail. It was Madison's voice, brittle and desperate, left at 2:13 a.m. on a Tuesday I spent rebuilding my workshop. Ben, I know you probably won't call back. I didn't know who else to talk to. I lost the job. Liam's gone. He left the country. Said it was for work, but I know it's because of me. Everything's falling apart. My friends won't even return my messages. I don't know how it all got this bad so fast. She paused, then added. You won, okay? You destroyed me. I hope that helps you sleep. I deleted the message without hesitation. It wasn't about winning. Not to me. This wasn't some game of emotional tug-of-war. It was about setting the record straight. About finally seeing who I married and burning the fantasy to ash. But she wasn't done. 2 days later, I got a letter from her lawyer. She was trying to renegotiate the divorce settlement. Said she had no current income and demanded temporary alimony. My attorney called it pathetic. I called it expected. I want her to have nothing from me, I told him. She won't, he replied. You've protected yourself well. Still, a part of me was stunned at her shamelessness. After everything, she still thought she could extract more. I started preparing the final blow. One more document. One last reveal. My brother had uncovered something while sifting through her old iCloud backups. She had another phone, a secret one, used for texting Liam and, get this, 2 other men. One in marketing, one in law. Both married. She wasn't just cheating. She was networking. Ben, my brother said over coffee that night, she wasn't in love with any of them. She was building stepping stones. Every guy was a rung up the ladder. I should have been furious. But honestly, I was impressed. In a sick, twisted way. Madison wasn't just a liar. She was a strategist. A narcissist playing chess on a board none of us knew existed. So I crafted the final letter. I sent it through my lawyer, directly to hers. Inside, a copy of the backup logs, selected screenshots, and a notarized declaration stating I would waive criminal charges if she withdrew all claims to alimony, property, or damages. It was silent for a week. Then her lawyer called mine. All claims dropped. She'll sign the divorce. No contest. I didn't celebrate. I just stood in the kitchen that night, watching the city lights from the window, and let out the breath I didn't realize I'd been holding for 5 years. Later that night, I got another message. Not from her this time. From Claire. She's talking about you. Nonstop. You're all she is left to blame. I didn't reply. What was there to say? Madison didn't want peace. She wanted attention. She'd never understand the difference between the two. And I wasn't her audience anymore. I wasn't her emotional punching bag. I wasn't her springboard. I wasn't harmless. I was done. The divorce was finalized that Friday. No fanfare. No drama. Just a signature and a silence that echoed louder than all the yelling we'd ever done. That night, I drove back to the same cliffside where I'd watched the stars a few weeks earlier. And for the first time in years, I wasn't carrying her shadow. I stood there in the wind, free. Not just from her, but from the version of myself I became to keep her happy. It's strange how healing doesn't arrive like a trumpet blast. It creeps in quietly, barely noticeable at first. One morning, you pour coffee and realize her favorite mug doesn't sting to look at. One afternoon, you walk past the perfume aisle without flinching. You don't miss her voice anymore. You don't even remember its pitch. A month after the divorce finalized, I saw Madison again. It wasn't planned. I was at a mutual friend's wedding, small venue, garden ceremony. I almost didn't go, but I thought, why not? I wasn't hiding anymore. I wasn't broken. And besides, I had nothing left to be ashamed of. She walked in halfway through the reception. No ring. No Liam. Wearing a dusty blue dress that used to fit her better. The confidence she once radiated had dulled, replaced with something brittle. She avoided my eyes until she couldn't anymore. When our gazes met across the lawn, she hesitated, then approached. "Then," she said softly, "you look good." I nodded. "Thanks. Didn't expect to see you here." I shrugged. I was invited. She swallowed. Her eyes darted around like she expected someone else to save her from the conversation. "You really meant it, huh?" she whispered. "You let it all burn." "I didn't burn it," I said. "I just stopped holding it together." She laughed quietly, but it was hollow. "They talk about you, you know," she added. "My friends. Parkview. Everyone says you're dangerous now." I smiled. "Funny. You all used to call me harmless." That hit her harder than she let on. She looked away. "I was stupid, Ben." "No," I replied. "You were selfish." "That's different." Another pause. "I miss how you made me feel," she said finally. I looked at her, not the woman I used to love, not the villain she became, but as someone I no longer owed anything to. "I don't," I said simply. "And I hope, for your sake, you stop chasing that feeling and start figuring out why you needed it so badly in the first place." Her lips parted, like she wanted to argue, but nothing came out. So she just nodded and walked away. And that was it. No dramatic farewell. No apology worth keeping. Just a passing moment, like wind brushing your sleeve. There and gone. I stood under the twinkle lights of that garden, sipping my drink, letting the weight fall off completely. She had nothing left to take, and I had nothing left to give her. Weeks turned into months. I started going to the gym again, picked up welding with my brother, took a solo trip to Montana and stared at the stars without thinking of what they used to mean to us. I met new people. I laughed without guilt. I existed without apology. And now, looking back, here's what I've learned. Never let someone else define your worth, because they'll undervalue you every time if it benefits them. Madison didn't ruin me, she revealed me. She forced me to look at the man I became, and the man I buried to keep her ego alive. And once I met him again, I realized he deserved better than surviving inside someone else's shadow. If you're reading this, if you're in the middle of a betrayal, if you're picking up pieces that someone else smashed, here's my advice. Don't beg. Don't scream. Don't prove. Just build. Build something better. Start with your dignity. Lay a foundation in silence. Let your peace be your sharpest weapon. Let your success hum like thunder. And when they come crawling back, whispering regrets, don't open the door. Let them knock. Let them wonder. Let them live with the echo of the man they tried to break but only ended up making indestructible.